I think we're in a moment where we probably should be parsing some statements. So there is a New York Post journalist named Caitlin Dornbos who has been in Islamabad for several days now and has been absolutely waxing poetic about Pakistan and the hospitality and the way people have treated her. And she's been on Pakistan television as well, talking about what these talks mean for Pakistan. So very kind of her, but she seems to have developed a real warm feeling. And I have to say, there is no hospitality like Pakistani hospitality. So there is that. Just very interesting that she spoke to Donald Trump shortly and a short time ago. And here is what Donald Trump said to her and to the New York Post. Something could be happening over the next 2 days. We're more inclined to go to Pakistan. You should stay there, really. Why should we go to some country that has nothing to do with it? The field marshal is doing a great job. He's fantastic. He's doing a great job. That's why it's more likely. All rumors are that the talks are either going to happen on Thursday or the weekend. And the Iranians are saying that they've cleared their calendars for the weekend. So no fishing trips, I assume, for the weekend, but that's what they are saying. So this is Donald Trump saying this about Pakistan and that the talks would be in Pakistan. The other venues were Geneva. And as we know, Trump is very, very upset right now with Europe. Turkey, which has become the next potential Amalek for Israel. Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, which has told Trump to wind this down and that the blockade is really hurting everybody. And not so sure the Iranians would like to go to Saudi Arabia for talks. They may not feel particularly safe in Saudi Arabia. And I think they too have mentioned a preference for Pakistan because they feel safer there, and the Pakistani Air Force has helped escort their planes to Islamabad. So, and I guess they really do feel they're amongst their people when they are in Pakistan, given the composition of the population in Pakistan. So there is that. Let us see. Great food, great PR for Pakistan. New York Post is not a liberal paper. New York Post is very, very connected to Jared Kushner and usually takes a huge amount of pot shots at Muslims and Muslim countries, actually. So, including Zoran Mamdani, who became quite a target for them. But anyway, Caitlin Dombas has been in Islamabad, and she has been making a lot of very positive remarks about Pakistan as the venue. Let us parse some more statements. J.D. Vance has just recently converted to Catholicism and has published a book on his conversion to Catholicism, and had also wanted the Pope to come to the US for I think the 250th anniversary or some such. He said on Fox News yesterday that the Pope should stay out of US politics and that the Vatican should stick to issues of morality. Very good. I would think that war and peace are issues of morality. I think killing children are issues of morality. I think killing tens of thousands of civilians is an issue of morality. Purposefully putting them under siege and starving them is an issue of morality. Displacing 1 million people from their lands and their homes is an issue of morality. So, I think Mr. Vance may need to redefine morality, but this is the level of spinelessness and ignorance that the world is dealing with at this moment. Not sure if Mr. Vance is going to be the person who's going to go for the next set of talks, or if it's going to be Rubio, who might have suddenly woken up and realized that he actually is the chief diplomat of the United States. But who knows? Maybe he's still too busy trying to take over Cuba and doesn't want to get distracted by, that country out there called Iran. Let us move on to parsing more statements. Israel is saying that they are not going to go for a ceasefire, and their war is not upon the Lebanese people. What they have stopped overtly saying is that actually their war is upon Shias of Lebanon. The New York Times, as we remember, did an expose about how the IDF had been announcing and putting out leaflets to villages in southern Lebanon demanding they not give safe haven and comfort to Shia Muslims. And then should they do so, and if any Shias are found hiding in their churches or in their homes, then IDF will extract retribution for that. This is the New York Times exposing this. So I know there's a lot going on in the world, and the world tends to forget. But Israel has done the Anne Frank thing in southern Lebanon. What an absolute irony is that? But they have. 1 million people have been displaced from southern Lebanon. A majority of them are Shias who've been pushed out. Israel and the defense minister have said very clearly that the Christians of southern Lebanon can stay, but the Shias cannot. And they went even further to demand that no safe haven be given to any Shias. You cannot harbor Shias. There will be retribution for that. So when they make these fantastic claims that there's no ceasefire and that they're not targeting the Lebanese, what they're really saying is they're targeting Shias of Lebanon, not other populations. And as we know, Lebanon is very multi-ethnic, multi-religious. They have Sunnis, Shias, Christians, Orthodox Christians, they have Druze, and a whole slew of religious minorities live in Lebanon. And oftentimes the relationship has been very, very fractious and very tense amongst the groups. So this is what Israel is actually signaling, that their enemy are the Shias. So if Mr. Netanyahu runs around the world being the protector of the Jewish populations around the world and regularly berating leaders of Europe, as he just did, calling them weak and anti-Semitic and not protecting the Jews of Europe, does he really think that Iran is not seen as a spokesperson for the Jews, for the Shias of the world? Iran is majority Shia. Iran is seen very much as having a say on what happens to the Shias of the world, especially within the region of the Middle East. Iran will never abandon the Shia population of Lebanon. It will not happen. Iran feels very close to the Lebanese Shias, probably even closer to them than Pakistani Shias, who happen to be the second largest Shia population outside of Iran. So, there is a healthy population of Shias around the world, and Iran feels attached to all of them. So if Mrs. Netanyahu can go around spitting in the face of every leader who doesn't, match up to his standards, or, runs around calling everybody anti-Semitic if they don't consider him to be the Lord God, then certainly Iran can claim that they are the protectors of the Shias of the world. Whether they are or not, the point is that two can indeed play this game. And hypocrisy is just not going to fly anymore. So that is where we are today. Mr. Trump is now spewing his bile against Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who has said that Trump's actions and words against the Pope are highly inappropriate. Italy has also canceled its defense agreement with Israel and basically had said what she's done is suspended an automatic renewal of a defense cooperation deal with Israel. So she is now the new enemy. A reminder, with Orban gone, Giorgia Meloni was the only prime minister in Europe who was aligned with the MAGA movement. There are parties like AfD and Farage's Reform and other parties, also in the Netherlands, etc., who are aligned with the MAGA movement, but none of them are in power. In France as well, but none of them are in power. She is. So now she is the new target of Trump and his bile because she took a stand against what he did with the Pope and what he did, and then the Israel defense, the suspending the automatic renewal of the Israel Defense Pact. So there's a lot of things that are going on today, but I just thought that these developments and parsing some of the statements would be really, really important. And a quick check of the magical thinking in the markets, and sure enough, the markets are rallying on hope that Trump is saying somewhat of the truth and that there won't be fire and brimstone ahead of the 4 o'clock close. But nothing is certain, but there we are.